Welcome, guys, to the Champion Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Ace Coleman, and today's guest is Braden Gellenthien.
Hey, guys.
So, today I want us to reserve time to talk about your transition to gas.
Sure, of course.
So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Tanya and I got some great news in December this year where our family's growing. We're going to be having a son in August. And I was working 50 to 60 hours a week with my previous job as a rep, and things got crazy. With Tanya's family over in Denmark and not really being able to visit or, help out with a kid, I needed to make a transition in my own personal life to be able to be that rock for her. So it was important for me to find a job closer to home that would allow me to support her in all the ways that she needs as a professional archer and kind of be that stay-at-home, father influence. And I was lucky enough to get a job offer here at Gas Bowstrings working as the general manager with Eric. And yeah, it was a real no-brainer. I made the switch, and everybody saw me switch to Hoyt. It was just when I stepped back from the job with Black Eagle, it was really hard to maintain that connection as a shooter. So it was easier just to kind of start over with a clean slate. And I've been super blessed to be shooting for Hoyt and Easton now, and we're excited. It's going to be wild this summer as Coleman gets here, and it's like a week and a half before our due date. We're kind of taking things one event at a time to see how far we can make it. But things are going really, really well for our family, and we're excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as far as anything in, we've seen all these like memes.
Right. Yeah. Things got out of control there when we switched. It was kind of wild. I talked to the guys that do that stuff, and like, there's no reason for the drama, the hearsay, all the rumors. Like, it was literally just, I needed to be there for Tanya. We made a switch, and of course, archery community is what it is, and they grab things and run with it. So it just wanted to clear the air one last time. Like, I needed to be there for my wife. We're having a kid. There's nothing else to the story.
Right.
That's
so
it.
Take archery hooligan and archery let down with a grain of salt.
I mean, we all have to do that
Those guys
anytime
are so
there's
funny.
memes. Like, oh yeah, they're hilarious, but that's it. It's
Memes.
comedy. It's memes. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's all it is.
So, but as far as switching to the Hoyt, you recently won the Gator Cup.
Yeah.
Tell us about qualification and then eliminations.
Sure. So qualification, the first couple ends, I felt a little nervous. It was kind of like World Cup final type nerves. I'm like, I'm up there. I've got a bow that I had shot for a couple weeks at the time, and I felt like I really wanted to perform. I wanted to do well and showcase what that bow could do. And the first two ends got a little dicey there. Like, I opened up 58, and I was like in 30th place. I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. And then shot a couple 59s and a 60, and I got more comfortable. And then the second half, the wind picked up a little bit, and it was funny because normally in a Gator Cup, the wind's coming right to left in the morning, and then as the afternoon progresses, it comes over left to right. And there's this period of time that's maybe 3 ends long where the wind's coming right to left, left to right, headwind, tailwind. It's kind of doing everything. And that's the kind of wind that I feel like I am best in because I've had so much experience in it, where instead of stepping up to the line and be like, okay, the wind's coming right to left this end, I'm going to aim right 9. I'm looking at it arrow by arrow, second by second, where if I'm at full draw, I've got my peripheral vision keeping an eye on the flag in case something changes. And it's like, hey, you need to let down immediately and regroup. So during that time, I was able to kind of work my way up against the field. And when guys were shooting 58s, I was shooting 59s. Ends where 57s were happening, I was shooting that 58. So I was able to pick up the 4 or 5 points I needed to over that little window that, once the wind came left to right and finished the day solid, I was in a position to make a move. And I think I finished 3rd during qualification, which was really awesome. I was excited. The next day, matches started, and I don't know if it's having a child or what, but I found a place, like a zen almost, where I didn't feel nerves. I just felt comfortable. I went out and I performed. I shot my bow, and I took it, as cliche as it is, I took it arrow by arrow, and I did everything I could, stayed present, stayed in the moment, and it was just progressing through my matches. And I think I shot against like 4 guys from the Vegas shoot down this year. Like my road to the finals was not easy. Like every match I had was tight. It was just shoot off. I had 2 shoot offs to get there. Like it was one shoot off at 148, one at 149. Like I earned that win. Mm-hmm. And it kind of reminds me, like, a lot of my wins come that way. It seems like everybody brings their A game. I've been in memes sometimes where it's like Jesse, Perkins, Pagney, Chris Schaff, Mikey. Like it's a knockdown drag out the whole time, and it just Gator Cup felt like that too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then the finals with Jimmy was the wind picked up. It got crazy, but I felt in control the entire time. Jimmy had me shoot first, which I've always been old school, where it's like, okay, I was a higher ranked archer. I'm shooting second, but or I'm shooting first. I wanted to set the pace. That was kind of how but I guess he wants to have that pressure, and he wants to be the one deciding the match, which I definitely respect. But yeah, for me, it was great. So I started off the match with a 10, and I rolled. I did my thing, and my last arrow clinched the match. I turned back to 10. It was like, whew, okay. I missed this feeling, but this is really cool. And since then, it's just been a real boost to my desire, my drive, and I'm really excited to be at SoCal this weekend and see if I can make a 2 for 2.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as far as the wind, yeah, I was there, and I had one end where straight left and right,
Mm-hmm.
like knowing how to control that wind is very important. I would say.
It's tricky. It's knowing yourself and your aiming styles, and what you need to do if the wind goes from 0 to 5 miles an hour, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. For me, anytime the wind goes above 10 miles an hour, I need to add a lot of front weight. I say a lot. I mean like 3 to 4 ounces, and it helps me be a little bit more steady. I may see some dips that I'm not used to, but my movement won't be as much. So like I'm sacrificing my up and down aim for a little bit more left and right stability. But at 10 and under, I tend to leave things the same. I played around maybe 10 years ago with going to a short like hunting bar for the wind. But I've been thinking about it, and like that's just, you lose so much stability, and you don't really gain that much as far as surface area is concerned. I understand like the further your stabilizer out is, the more it's going to be affected by the wind. But at the same time, if you're getting hit by 15 mile an hour wind, your body is so much surface area. Losing 5-10 inches of stabilizer is like 3 to 4% of your overall body getting hit. So yes, it's being affected the most, but man, I can't aim steady with my body getting hit by 15 mile an hour wind in the first place. So
Exactly.
I just choose for overall stability.
So for the audience, what kind of front weight are you running right now?
I run 18 to 20 ounces on the front, depending on like the week. Some days I feel strong, some days I feel weak, and it kind of varies between that. And I have about between 26 and 28 on the back. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy bow, but the way that I look at it is it takes a lot of effort to get the pin into the middle, just physically. But then that means once I'm stable, it's going to take a lot of energy to move me out of the middle.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that, you just have to pile a ton of weight on and you'll be fine. Before you really pile the weight on, is there any like procedure you have to go through to make sure that your setup is good before you can really stack it?
Yeah, so it's really important to find out your base level, like your base balance. And I would suggest doing that with a set of weights you're comfortable with. So something like maybe 12 total ounces, like 4 on the front, 8 on the back, something like that, 6 and 6. Find where your pin is acting neutral. So your first step is going to be draw back and don't execute. Just pay attention to your aim. If the pin's dropping out the bottom, you're going to want to add back weight. If it's lifting out the top, you're going to want to add front weight. But then the most important step is you need to actually pull. You need to execute. You need to find out what happens when you shoot, and then balance the bow to that. So your first step is to just balance the bow neutrally, and then to balance against your own shot. A lot of guys, they'll just do the first part and then just deal with the sight picture. But you need to make sure that you're actively pulling, because that's what's going to save your banking in a tournament. Like in practice, yeah, everything works, but in a tournament, you see where stuff hits the fan.
Exactly. And not the good kind of stuff.
Right.
Bad stuff. So as far as your arrow setup for FIDA, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm running an X10 380, the Parallel Pro. cut to 27.5 inches carbon to carbon, 120 grains up front. 2-inch shield cut vanes, Easton pin knock. Yeah, just kind of a basic setup.
Very generic.
Yeah, 60 pounds, 29.25 inches as far as the bow with the SVX cam.
Awesome.
Yeah, it tunes through paper. The bear shaft hits with the arrows. Yeah, couldn't ask for more. Kind of funny fact right now. All the 50-meter training I've done and the tournament, I have yet to break a knock. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure once that changes, once I break the first one, it's going to be crazy. But I've shot an entire tournament. I've trained for 2 weeks so far, and I have not broken a knock. So
insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe it's just diameter. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe I'm just not good at archery. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of crazy.
Right. So, any comments on the Stratus? Which bow are you shooting?
Yeah, I'm shooting the Stratus 40.
Okay.
With the XVX. It's really stable. It's nice. Like I know that a lot of guys were having some issues early in the season, kind of getting it to balance. I found, like I said, I'm running 18, 19 ounces on the front right now and about 28 on the back, and it seems to be balancing really well. I haven't had to play with tiller or anything. I did balance a little. I did fight a little bit of a dip bang. So I've got the stabilizer, a 15-inch mounted off the front, and I've got it relatively neutral as far as height's concerned. I don't have it set low. And I was able to get the most leverage out of the back bar in that position. And still clearance on my belly, my sympathy weight that I've been putting on. And the bow's been responding really well.
Right.
And the nice thing the thing that I like the most is I can really pull on the backside and things don't get crazy. Like it doesn't feel squirrely or anything. Like as I pull, as I execute it stays in line and it stays solid.
Sure. Are you running hard wall or soft wall?
It's a hard wall on there.
It's hard wall.
Yep.
And we talked earlier about this. A lot of guys, with spiral type cams, they like to run the top cam ahead.
Yep. I've got that top cam pretty much buried. I like to pull hard against the back wall, and I was able to get a little bit more holding weight there. I'm just under 20 pounds right now at 60. So Perfect. It's nice. I get to really, another nice thing about when you're shooting in the wind, holding weight is going to save your bacon. The more tension you have on the bow is going to allow you to aim more solid and be more steady.
Exactly. Powerful. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your travel schedule coming up.
Yeah, so with the baby coming, things are going to be a little hectic. The last several years, Tanya and I have done every event every weekend, and we've burnt the candle at both ends. This year, we're going to be taking things a little bit slower. We're going to SoCal this coming weekend. We're going to be going to Metropolis at the end of the month. And then after that, I don't know what our travel schedule is going to look like. I'm probably going to do Buckeye, maybe Coleman. We'll see what Tanya does. Coleman's like a week and a half before our due date, so I don't know. It's just all depending on how Tanya's feeling. And then after that, I'll be doing as much as I can this fall, and we're looking to be back up and running by indoor season. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy. I'll probably be showing up to tournaments without a whole lot of sleep, but I'm sure it's nothing that the other guys haven't already dealt with. But yeah, we're going to take it day by day.
Exactly. So as far as baby names.
Yep. We have one that's a kind of a working name. I'm going to let Tanya be the one to make that public, but we've been balancing traditional Danish names with stuff that can be Americanized as well. So we want to make a name that our Danish family can say, and it's easy, and it kind of, it's a shout out to her roots. And then something that the Americans won't slaughter. So middle name and last name, we're going to be doing Amdi Gellenthien. Amdi's Tanya's family name that's been passed down through the matriarch of their family, and that's really cool. Something that I really, really wanted in the name, and then my last name and the first name, I'm gonna leave it up to her to make public when she's ready.
Right on.
Yeah.
So as far as being the general manager of Gas, what have you already seen as far as improvement?
So when I came in, some of the biggest barriers that I was able to kind of pinpoint is lead times. Nobody wants to be waiting 2 to 3 weeks for their strain to come in, especially during July, August, September when hunting season's in the middle of it. So I sat down with Eric and we looked at past figures, past numbers of what we normally do during the busy season, and we created a roadmap to get there. And we needed to hire more people. So we actually shut down our indoor range this February and started renovations that have just finished. And we've been able to add 10 new employees. We're finishing the hiring this week and next week so that everybody can be trained up and running. And don't quote us on this, but I would like to keep ship times under 2 weeks this peak season. I think we're going to be able to do it with the team and staff that we have putting together. Like, we've got some amazing people out back. And for the first time, we've been really working on kind of blending the gap between the office and the production.
Okay.
Where we're just one. Before in the past, like, it's really easy for there to be two teams, where there to be the office people selling and then the people building, and there's not a lot of crossover. But we've got a team right now where it's just one giant family. We've got 8 guys that go and play golf Tuesday and Thursday nights every week, mix between both, and like we have so much time together where we're able to communicate a lot easier. Like, if there's a snag in the back, they come talk to shipping, they come talk to sales. Like, hey guys, we've got 3 guys out this week. We're gonna need you to pump the brakes on sales. And it's like, okay, all right, cool. Our wait times might go up a day, but there's a lot of communication, and it's a really, really healthy place to work.
Absolutely. One thing that I learned, I took a tour this morning. One thing that's really cool is the finishers.
Mm-hmm.
They basically, they're not paid per hour. They basically are like contractors.
Right, exactly. So we have
cool.
we have a piece rate here once people get up to a certain level. Our minimum piece rate set is 15 sets per day. So people are hourly until they start hitting that 15 sets, and then once they do, they get paid per quality set that they get through. We've got a bunch of different stations. The first is layup, and that's where you take the actual string material and you turn it into a basic string. So that's going to be your connected, untwisted piece with 2 end loops. And then from there, it goes to finishing, where people twist them up and do the end servings. Yes. Then it goes to QC. And QC's, and at every stage, people are responsible for checking lengths, diameter, everything like that, to make sure that the string that you're getting gets through, several stages of QC. So
what is QC?
QC, quality control.
Quality control.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're making sure at every step of the way that the length's correct, the serving diameter is correct for your bow, so that it fits in the cam tracks properly. If you were shooting a bite or knock, we need to make the center serving a different diameter than everything else. So we're making every step that we can perfected so that we can limit waste and maximize the quality of the product getting out. And then the guys at QC, what they do is they're the third person checking the string for length. If there's like 1 or 2 twists they need to toss in to get it to your exact dimensions, they'll do that there, and then they'll put on your speed knocks as well. So it's a really cool system. We've gotten 95% of kinks, 99% of kinks worked out by the time that it gets to production and shipping. And then, but with the number of strings we make in a day, even at 99%, we still have a few that get out where we need to take care of things, but we have the best customer service in the game. Like, if you call up, if there's an issue, we're gonna make it right. That old saying, the customer is always right, definitely rings true with us, where we wanna make sure that your experience with Gas Bowstrings is the best that it can be.
I agree with that. I've never had a negative experience with customer service. If there's any issues, communication is there.
Yeah, Destiny Trent, she's our sales manager, and she oversees the people in the office, and our team they really care about you. They're archers, and they understand what you need. Like, at the end of the day, like, you're trusting us with your season, whether it's you're going on a hunt, you're shooting professionally, you're shooting for fun. Like, your archery experience, the string needs to be there for you. And everybody understands that, and we work with you to make sure that it's perfect.
Powerful. So, yeah, I was impressed. As far as your vision with Gas, where would you like to see Gas in the next year?
Yeah, so Eric and I are going to be sitting down at the end of this year and going over growth and making projections, and we're slowly grinding to earn market share. I would like to maintain our position as being, the leader in custom bowstrings, aftermarket bowstrings. And I think that it's something we really pride ourselves on. Whether it's not just about quantity, it's maintaining that quality. that people have come to know from us. We really care about archery. We like to give back to the sport. We really take bowstring seriously. Like, this is our passion. And we've got a few other sister companies coming along, like Archery. You guys know us as the Locks. So we're trying to expand a little bit there. Got some cool products in the works that people are going to be getting excited about this fall. I can't quite tell you about them yet, but we're making progress and things are really cool there. So I see us continuing to expand and doing everything we can to make your entire archery experience the best.
Awesome. Yeah. So when did you get started in archery, and like why? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I started archery when I was like 10 or 11 at a Cub Scout camp. Like we went, it wasn't quite a sleepover. I wasn't quite old enough to be adventurous enough for that yet, but it was a week-long camp where we went in the morning, left at like 4 p.m. And archery was one of the activities. We did swimming, BB guns, slingshots, like all the fun kid stuff. And I was horrible at it. Like, I was missing the target, but I had so much fun. Like, it was so cool to like shoot a weapon and like try to hit something. And I came home and I was like, Mom, Dad, like I shot archery today. It was really cool. And my dad was like, archery, huh? And my mom was like, what's archery? No, like she wasn't like that, but it was like nobody expected me to pick that up. And I got a bow that Christmas, and then I really enjoyed it. Loved shooting in the backyard. My dad was like, okay, this seems pretty cool. And he got a bow too. We started shooting a father-son league on Sundays, and then we shot some kid leagues, and then we went down the rabbit hole. It was like, I started shooting weekend 3D tournaments with him. I did a JOAD league, and I did that until I was 14-ish. And I went to a Terry Wonderly course, and I was shooting a PSE Edge, which is this little like 30-inch bow. I was shooting a wrist strap, and I was punching the ever-loving crap out of my release. I got it on there, whack, and I thought I knew everything about archery. I shot like a 290 average on the blue and white face, and man, I was the next Robin Hood, let me tell you. So I went and completely wasted my dad's money on that course and learned nothing and figured that I knew more than he did. So yeah, that was a really good first experience with a really good coach. And I remember Terry telling me that if I didn't change the way that I was doing archery, that I would quit within 3 months. And yeah, sure, old man, whatever. 3 months to the date, I was like, I had the most crippling target panic ever. I couldn't like anchor my bow, and I was like, yep, I'm done. Archery's not for me. So I put it down. Like I focused on soccer, baseball. I was just a normal kid. And then one of my buddies reached out and was like, hey, do you want to come shoot archery? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Because I was thinking like target panic and all like the horrible stuff that I remembered. He's like, yeah, no problem. Like, just come grab a back tension and just give it a go. So I'm like, all right. I remember I grabbed this old Stan Luxor that he had. Not the Luxor. What was it? It was this little purple, whatever.
Purple handle.
Purple. It was like this little like super
flat.
Yeah, it was curled. It was really curled, and it was yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I grabbed the back tension and I went and I anchored and shot, and there was no apprehension. I was like, this is really cool. Like, yeah, back tension. And that day, I shot my first 300 blue and white. Like, just doing exactly what I was doing, but with a back tension. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. So I started practicing, and I was like averaging like 345 X's, but you know, I'm getting 300s. And I ate crow. I called Terry, and I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was at the Boston camp that you came out for. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And I'm like, oh gosh, super embarrassed. But I remember I was so nervous, and I apologized to him and said I was ready to work. He's like, all right, well, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it my way. And I'm like, absolutely, sir, whatever you say. And we started working together through VHS tapes. So that tells you how old it was. I would go to the range with my dad's video camera, and I'm talking, it was like 2.5 feet by a foot, 8 to 10 inches wide. Like, it was a big honking VHS recorder. And we would set it up on a tripod and film like 30 shots over several angles, and I would send it off to him in the mail. And then like 2 weeks later, I'd give him a ring and we'd go over it. and he would, go through shot by shot. And I didn't have a copy of it because it was a VHS. Like, nobody recorded VHSs. There was no way to save it on your computer. So I'm trying to remember like what I was doing 2 weeks ago and try to like go through it and then make changes. And then we do the same thing again, where it was like filming it and sending it over. And that's how we did it for probably 6 to 8 months until I went out to his house. And I remember by the time I went, I was shooting like 355X on blue and white. And then the second round that I shot in his basement, I shot my first 60X. Just once he got his hands on me and able to move bow arm around, back tension around, everything. And I was like, archery is really going to be fun. This is what I want to do. And that was the moment that I realized that I wanted to do it. So went home, shot indoor nationals that year as a youth, and I won. And it was like, okay, archery's fun. And from that point on, it was like fast forward. I went outdoors and I set the cadet, which was at that time 15 and under, 16 and under, 15 and under, world record for 30 meters. I shot a 360 with like 28 X's out of 36. So absolutely killed it. And that fall, I continued shooting. That spring, we had the Senior World Championships coming up. I was 16 years old. I'm like, okay, that would be really cool. And we were going for the experience. And somehow at the end of the weekend, I qualified for the team. I finished 4th and I was on the team. I came home and Eric Griggs lived maybe 15 minutes away, and he was the best archer we knew in the area. And I called him and was like, hey man, I qualified for the World Championship. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you come help me get my bow ready? Help me get trained for this? And he's like, absolutely. It didn't happen. So I worked with Terry Underly, and we would send VHS tapes back and forth. Well, not back and forth. I would send them, and we would do a phone call afterwards to kind of go over what I needed to change on my Phorm. And I used to love when he'd have things that I needed to work on, because I knew that as good as I was shooting, I would get better. So we worked night and day, crazy amounts, and we had the World Championships coming up in May of that year. I was still 16. It was probably early April then, and I remember going into it. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm doing really good against the juniors. Let's see how I stack up against the seniors. This will be fun. I'll get a lot of experience. And somehow I that scene in what is it? There's a scene in one of the movies, Old School, where Will Ferrell does this speech and he completely blacks out and wins the speech tournament. That's basically what happened. I qualified for the team. I was 16 years old and I was on a team with D Wild, Rio Wild, and Dave Cousins. Like, it was the dream team. Like, it was all that I ever wanted to accomplish in archery happened. And I came home and I was talking to Eric Griggs. He lived like 15, 20 minutes from me. And I was like, hey man, can you help me get ready for the World Championships? So he came down with his 70-pound 3D bow, 23 12s, like, sure, I'll shoot with you. And we shot for the 3 weeks leading up to the World Championship. And I didn't win a single match. If I shot a 118, he shot a 119. If I shot a 119, he shot a 120. When I shot a 120, he'd shoot one on the freaking cross every time. And, I've never been the kind of guy where if you beat me, I'm going to be like, oh, well, you're better than me. Like, no, I'm going to find a way to beat you. And no matter how hard I dug, no matter how hard I tried, like, he still beat me. And then I went to the World Championships and I qualified in the top 5 and I ended up 3rd. It's like, okay, against mortals, I can do this. Like, Eric was like an archery god. But as long as I was shooting against people I could beat, like people who drop points, I could find a way to win. And it was amazing. That was the moment in my archery career where I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this a profession. I'm going to do this full time. That fall, my parents helped me get to the Iowa Pro-Am. I shot a 359 day 1 and like a 324 day 2, and that was 683. I got 3rd place. Like, that tells you how long ago archery was. Like, 683 was still competitive. I won enough money to go to the Lancaster tournament that year, the first year they had it, and I won. I qualified all right. I kept winning matches. I shot against like all of the guys. I shot against D Wild, Jeff Hopkins, and like at the end it was me and Jesse. And I took down that W, and that was when I was like, you know what? Archery is going to be fun. This is going to be cool. I think then we talked about life. We talked about everything, and like I wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to Tanya. She is the rock in my life. Like it's been so cool. We got together in 2017, and I was getting through a portion of my archery career where I was coming off of shooting the 718, and it was kind of like a downtime where I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep shooting or not. And that fall, the first year we were together, I qualified for the World Cup final, and I won. And it was like she helped me to see archery in a different way. And you kind of know that scene in Ricky Bobby where he's kind of like, hey, you only get loved when you win. And she was like, no, like you can just be you, and that's good enough. And it's taken me a while to have something like that. I always thought that I needed to be perfect to earn someone's care, and she's definitely showed me that that it's okay just to be yourself, and it's okay to be human. And it's definitely helped me mature as a person, as a man. And I'm really excited to be that I'm the person she chose to start a family with. So I'm doing everything I can to help her and keep moving forward every day to be the best that I can. And I'm really excited for her to get back on tour this fall, and know that I'm behind her 100%. So it's been a wild and crazy ride, and life is nuts. I shot with Eric for those 3 weeks. That turned into a summer job when I was in high school. It turned into me coming home from summer breaks from college to build strings with him at the Gas Beta 1 version back in 2004. And it's crazy now to be back with him when I'm 38 years old and working with him to take over the archery world from the string side of things. It's life's wild and crazy. The other thing that I don't know if this was before it cut off or after, but the advice that I wanted to give someone in their life is to find that one thing you're passionate about and go at it 100 miles an hour. Just never take no for an answer. Find that thing that makes you tick, no matter what it is, and just chase down that dream. That's how you leave a mark on this life. Just be awesome, be you, and give it everything you got.
Powerful. So one last thing, Braden has a podcast that I didn't even know about until I started talking to him. Right. And what is the podcast? It's
Archery Uncensored. It's on Podbean and iTunes. We did like 50 episodes back during COVID. Me and my buddy Sean Kucha from Boston. We tossed back a couple cold ones, watched the baseball games, watched the Red Sox, and we talked archery. It was a really cool time.
So where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm way more active on Facebook than Instagram. Send me a Facebook message if you want. I'll get to it if I can. I got a lot of people in there asking for free bows and free arrows and free stabilizers, free strings. Like it's a disaster. Send me a message on there. Instagram, I post, but I don't check my messages. So best bet to get a hold of me is on Facebook. Comment on a thread. If you've got a good question, I see everything, so I'll do my best to answer it on there. And just keep sending those well wishes when we make our posts, like hey, I qualified for Vegas, or hey, I'm going to the finals. We see all those messages that you send, like hey, good luck, I got your back. Like that's really cool and important to every pro. So yeah, if you got your favorite pros, let them know that they're your favorites, and we'll give shout outs back.
So anything else?
No, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on today. It was great to be able to talk to your fan base, and I look forward to doing things like this in the future.
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.